guys, I'm just sitting here cutting up some tents. These are what I call tents. These are the cardstock inserts that I put and I fold over in half, and you've seen it on other videos, to where I put my postcards into, and that protects them. Now this is only 65-pound weight, you know. I've used as much as 120-pound cardstock on my wife Kim's photos, but for, you know, postcards, because they're thicker, they don't need that much thickness, because you don't want to make it too thick, because you don't want to violate the eBay standard envelope rules to where it's too thick and it can't qualify, or else you're going to have postcards coming back to you. So the way I do this, just wanted to show you, this is just a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I take like 3 of these, because I can cut up to about 3 of them without any problems. So I'll take 3 of them and I'll put it in portrait, and I've got a mark here on my X-Acto cutter, blade cutter, and it's 6.25 inches. So I line that up. I've got a little black mark here on 6.25. I just cut down on that, and then what I do is the other side, there's a guide here, and that's 8 5/8, and that gives me a perfect thing that I need. And I needed to cut some up this morning because I was down to like 1. I've had so many sales recently that I was down to like 1, and so I'm cutting some more up this morning, just part of my daily routine. 6.25. It's a pretty neat little cutter. I've had it for quite a while. I think it cost me like $10, and it does a great job for something like this. This is our work table. As you can see, it's in our bedroom, but we just don't have room in the office for that, and so we put it over in the corner. And recently we made a discovery to where I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could raise the legs on the table and give the table some more height, because it was like way down and it was really kind of hurting our backs. But I looked at the setup on it, and I discovered there were pinholes where you put the push pins when you're adjusting the height, because this table is actually a drafting table. It not only lifts up and down, but it angles. Now, we don't need it to angle, but we were just hoping that it would, you know, it would lift up and then lock into place, and it did. And we were just so thrilled with that, because that way we didn't have to go out and buy another table, because I would have had to take this table out, take it down to the thrift store, donate it, and find another table, and you know, it would have been kind of a nightmare. But yeah, I do this on a fairly regular basis when I start running low on these little tents. Now I realize that you don't have to do this. You know, you don't have to make these little tents. You can, I mean, some people just take the postcard and put it in a clear penny sleeve. They call it penny sleeve, and they ship it that way. But I don't know, I'm kind of weird. I just believe in going the extra mile for my customer. I think that's what separates me from maybe my competition, because just by showing my customer that I'm going the extra mile just to protect their purchase, that's why I get so many repeat buyers. And I get a lot of them, and they come back to me rather than go somewhere else, you know. So that's why I do that, because your customer base, that's your lifeblood of your business. Without a customer, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with having a hobby. You know, nothing wrong with that. But, you know, this is a full-time business for me, so I got to treat it like a business. And taking care of your customers, I often said, and I've said it on other videos, that if you don't take care of your customers, don't worry, your competition will. So I don't want my competition taking care of my customers. So that's why I do things like this. I take some time out of my schedule and I cut up things like this. And you know, for other types of cards like the 4x6s, this will fit a 4x6 card as well, because I sell 4x6 continental size. And you know, for Kim's photos, sometimes her photos are a little bit bigger, and I cut those to a different dimension, but I use the same principle. So coming down to the last couple of cuts here. Trust me, sometimes it's easier to do this yourself rather than have it done. You know, I could probably go to some printing company and order these to be pre-cut. I wouldn't have to do it. But then you have to pay for that. You're not going to do it for free. So that's why I do it myself. I do what I can, you know, to save money. Because anything you can do to save yourself some money and reduce your overhead costs is going to be more money in your pocket. So this is the last cut here, 6 1/4. Sometimes I don't get this flush at the top. I got to be careful. And then 8 5/8 on that cut, and we are done. And that gives me the perfect size. Oh, that one's a little off, huh? Wonder why that happened. Let's see if we can trim that up a little bit. No, it's okay. It's close enough. If I try to trim that, it's going to be too thin a line, and I won't be able to trim it. And then, you know, that, of course, that leaves me with a bunch of excess pieces right here. And I used to keep these. And I figured I could use them for other things, but lately I haven't had a need for them. So I don't usually hold on to stuff that I don't need. So these will go in the trash. But yeah, that leaves me with these perfectly cut little tents. And like I said, what I do with each one is I just fold them in half, make a little tent out of it. And that way it's enough to where I can put a 3.5 by 5 or a 4 by 6 card in it. And it works out really well. I get many compliments about... Well, I can't get away from that. Is it? Yeah, it's okay. I get many compliments about that I took the time to take care of my customers' needs. And you know, if you look through my comments, you know, my positive feedback comments, you'll see many that says well packaged, you know, things along those lines, arrived safely, you know, things like that. I wish I could, to be honest with you, I wish I could use a thicker cardstock. You know, I wish I could use the 120 pound cardstock with these, but I'm just concerned that if I put this if this was 120 pound cardstock, if I put that with an EcoSwift envelope, it's going to be a little too thick, and you'll get some overachiever person at the post office that'll, you know, look at that and go, oh, this is too thick for letter mail, we're going to have to send this back. Or what they do sometimes is they'll forward it onto your customer, and then they'll hit them with a postage due charge. And you don't want to ever do that, because that will, unless a customer is really understanding that it's not your fault, they'll blame you for that, you know, and they'll get upset and they'll refuse it, of course. And you know, that's not good, because you want to try to maintain a good level of professionalism with all your customers, so they'll come back to you. That's how you get the repeat business, because it's always easier to sell to a repeat customer than it is to a new customer, because a new customer doesn't know you from Adam. But a repeat customer, they've done business with you before, and you know, they trust you, and that's why they'll come back to you. I've had many people will come to and buy off of me rather than go to somebody else, because I treat them, you know, I have a phrase in my business that I treat every customer as if they were my only customer. That's how important they are to me. So I take care of my customers' needs. I answer emails quickly. If I make a mistake, I own it, and I'll make compensation for them. Anything to, de-escalate the situation to where they don't walk away dissatisfied, to where they come back, because that's what I want them to do. I want to, when I have a customer, I want them as a customer forever. I want that they come back to me to buy their postcards rather than go somewhere else, because I'm sure they've had bad experiences with other postcard sellers, and maybe it's deliberate, maybe they don't care, or maybe it's just ignorance. They're just so new to the postcard industry that they don't know. I made a ton of mistakes when I started too, so I can't, I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but yeah, this works out really well. And like I said, it's an extra effort. Some people don't feel like it's necessary. I had one person recently on one of my videos comment, and they say, I just put it in the penny sleeve and put it in the EcoSwift envelope, and I've been doing it for 5 years like that, and I never had a problem. Well, great. Okay. And I'm not saying that wouldn't work, because that's how I used to do it when I first started. I think my first year doing this. I've been doing this now close to 5 years. And my first year, that's how I did it. I just put the card in the sleeve and in the EcoSwift envelope, because the EcoSwift envelope, I think they're rated at either 240 or 250 GSM, which is a thickness guide. It stands for grams per square meter. And that's the thickness guide. And those are the standard. That's the industry standard pretty much for, people that do postcards. And that's how I did it the first year. I never had a complaint either. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I'm just saying I wanted to try to think of a way that I could go the extra mile for my customer, just to show them I cared more than the next guy. Or, not that they don't care. It's just that I wanted to just do something to set myself apart. Because in business, that's what you want to do. Okay? Here's a little tip. You want to set yourself apart. You don't want to blend in. You don't want to do what everybody else is doing. You want to go that extra step, just even if it's a little step. And, you'd be surprised. People will notice stuff like that. They'll pay attention to that, because I got to be honest with you, the customer service, whether you have an online business, offline business, whatever, customer service has really tanked in, the past years. It just seems like a lot of people feel like, the seller just doesn't care anything about them, about their needs, about their purchase. I see it all the time on eBay when you see negative comments left. One of the main points they'll say is, tried to reach out to this seller 3 times, never heard from them. No communication. And to me, I don't know if that's deliberate. I hope not. But if it is, that's not a good practice, guys, because you're setting a future precedent that they're never going to come back to you, and you don't know who they know. They might know a bunch of people, and they're gonna go and say, don't go with this guy. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't communicate. If there's a problem, he won't even answer an email or whatever. You always want to make sure you build that relationship with your customer base, and that way they'll keep coming back to you. I promise. It works for me, and it'll work for you too. Okay, but I just wanted to show you what I was doing this morning, just making up these tents because I needed them. And I've already made one sale this morning, and that's already gone out early this morning, and I've already contacted my customer. And that's another thing too, and some people don't do that. And I'm not telling you how to run your business, okay? Please don't misunderstand me. Some people just, as long as there isn't a problem, they never communicate with their customer base. And I just don't do that. When I ship out a card, I contact my customer. I tell them it's on the way. I give them a tracking number, even though I don't need to, because it's already in eBay Seller Hub. But I do anyway. And I tell them, approximately when the card will show up. And I said, I also put in a kind of a little disclaimer in there that says, please understand that once it leaves my hands, it leaves my control. Then it's up to the post office to get it to you. And I've had many people write me back and say, yeah, I fully get it. The post office is kind of overwhelmed right now, especially with, now that we're in Q4, they're probably hiring for people just so they can handle the overflow. But yeah, that happens, and they get it, and they write me back. And yeah, I've had many customers write me back and say, "Thank you for the communication. I appreciate it. Thank you for the heads up. I appreciate that." Because I think what a lot of people unfortunately do on eBay is they just do the order, and as long as there's not a problem, you never hear from them again. And I just don't roll that way. I want to develop that relationship with that customer so they will remember me, and the next time they're thinking about buying a postcard or multiple postcards, they'll come back to me. It's just the way I roll. Okay, but I'm going to end this, and as always, if you got anything out of this video, and I hope you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button. It helps the channel. I appreciate it. I'm going to go, but you have a great day. And I wish you all the best and success in your postcard business. I really do. You have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care, and bye for now.